The political battlefield was set, and tensions were running high. Karoline Leavitt, the sharp-witted conservative commentator, was once again face-to-face with Democratic Representative Ilhan Omar in a heated live TV debate. This wasn't their first clash, and judging by the way the conversation was going, it certainly wouldn't be the last. The topic of the night: immigration policies, national security, and American values, a subject guaranteed to set sparks flying. The show's moderator, a veteran journalist known for handling tense debates, kicked things off with a simple but pointed question. Congresswoman Omar, do you believe the current immigration policies are fair and just? Ilhan Omar, sitting poised in her chair, nodded and leaned slightly forward. Her tone was measured, but there was no mistaking the passion in her voice. America has long prided itself on being a land of opportunity, a safe haven for those fleeing war, poverty, and persecution. But right now, our policies are failing those in need. Families are being torn apart. Asylum seekers are being turned away. And we are treating immigrants as criminals rather than human beings. This is not the America that I believe in. The camera cut to Karoline Leavitt. She was already shaking her head, a knowing smirk creeping across her face. When the moderator turned to her, she wasted no time in firing back. Ilhan, once again, you're painting America as the villain. But let's talk about facts, not feelings. You claim our policies are unjust, yet every year, millions of people risk everything to come here. Why? Because America, despite what you say, is still the greatest country in the world. If we were truly as cruel and inhumane as you suggest, would people be fighting tooth and nail to build a life here? Omar kept her composure, but it was clear that Leavitt had struck a nerve. She responded swiftly. People come here because they have no choice. But that doesn't mean we should ignore the flaws in our system. We have a moral obligation to protect those who seek refuge, not punish them. Leavitt laughed dryly, flipping through a few pages of her notes. A moral obligation? Interesting. You talk about fairness, yet you have no problem pushing for policies that put American citizens last. We have thousands of homeless veterans, rising crime rates, and a crumbling economy. But instead of focusing on the people who are already here, you want to throw open the borders and let in unlimited numbers of people without vetting? That's not compassion. That's recklessness. The tension in the studio thickened. The audience was split, some nodding in agreement with Leavitt, others shaking their heads in disapproval. Omar clenched her jaw slightly before responding. No one is saying we should have open borders, but we should be treating immigrants with dignity and respect. That's what makes us American. That's what makes us better. Leavitt scoffed, raising an eyebrow. So you say. But let's take a moment to look at the bigger picture. You came to this country as a refugee, correct? Omar nodded, slightly wary of where this was going. And yet, here you are, constantly criticizing the very nation that gave you that opportunity. Let me ask you something. Why do you never speak out against the human rights violations happening in Somalia, the country you left? You claim to fight for justice, but your silence on those issues is deafening. Could it be that bashing America is just more politically convenient for you? A murmur ran through the crowd. Even the moderator looked slightly taken aback. Omar opened her mouth to respond, but hesitated for a split second, just long enough for Leavitt to push forward. You say you love this country, but your words and actions say otherwise. You demonize law enforcement. You push radical policies that put American lives at risk. And you blame this nation for every global issue under the sun. If America is so broken, so flawed, so unworthy of your praise, why are you still here? Silence. For the first time in the debate, Omar didn't have an immediate response. The camera zoomed in on her face, capturing the flicker of frustration in her eyes. She finally leaned back slightly and took a sip of water before composing her answer. Karoline, Loving America means wanting to make it better. Fighting for change isn't betrayal, it's patriotism. Leavitt shook her head again, this time with a more serious expression. No, Ilhan. Loving America means defending its values, protecting its people, and standing up for what makes this country great. You're not trying to make America better. You're trying to fundamentally change it, and the American people see right through it. Applause erupted from half the audience, while others sat stiffly in their seats. The moderator glanced at the clock and cleared his throat. Well, that was certainly an intense discussion. Unfortunately, we're out of time. Thank you both for being here tonight.